Today we're going to take the best from 3 states in America and we're going to make the ultimate chicken sandwich. Welcome along to Barbecue Life, where great barbecue doesn't cost a fortune. As I said at the beginning, today we are making the ultimate chicken sandwich and we're going to be taking inspiration from 3 different areas in the United States and merging that all into one complete ultimate sandwich, and it is just going to completely blow your mind. So the first thing we need to start off with is some boneless chicken thighs. So you can ask your butcher to do these, or it's pretty easy to do them yourself. I did them myself, but I've done that off a camera because it's a bit time consuming. There is previous videos where I've used chicken thighs where I've boned them out that you can see, but it's easy enough. You just peel the skin back, trace along the bone with your knife and cut that out, and it's as simple as that. So we want to get that just onto a chopping board off to one side while we start preparing our other bits. So the next thing we need to prepare is our spices. So we've got some spices, and this is our first stop in America. So this is Kentucky. So all of these spices here are your generic flavors within your KFC style chicken. I've mixed it up slightly because I don't believe that a lot of stuff on the internet is right, so this is what I tend to use if I'm doing Kentucky style chicken. So into that pestle and mortar we've got half a teaspoon of garlic, half a teaspoon of thyme, half a teaspoon of basil, 1.5 teaspoons of paprika, 1/4 teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of mustard powder, half a teaspoon of pepper and half a teaspoon of salt. So this is going to give us our really nice flavours. So we just need to get that ground up in that pestle and mortar just so that we can break down them herbs, so that we've got a finer consistency, for lack of a better word, before we mix it through our flour. And then we're just going to take 3 tablespoons of flour. Hindsight, at this point, for the 6 thighs I'm doing, I should have used 4 because I do get a bit short towards the end, but I used 3 in this video, but 4 would be better for 6 chicken thighs. So 3 tablespoons of flour into this bowl, and then we just mix these spices through, and this is what's going to give us our flavors in that in our floury side of the stuff. And now we need to make our wet side. So into a bowl we're going to go in with 1 egg, so just get that cracked in there, and then you want to go some hot sauce. So into this hot sauce, I've just used sriracha, but you can use Frank's or anything like that. Traditionally you would use a vinegar based hot sauce, something like Frank's, for this next state that we are going to be meeting. And then we're going in with a 300-gram pot of buttermilk. So get that in, give that a good mix, and we're going to go back to our spices, because for this next state, which is why we've added the hot sauce, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of cayenne pepper into this mix, because this is going to take us to our next state of Nashville. So this is Nashville, Tennessee, Nashville hot chicken. So traditionally Nashville hot chicken is just your cayenne pepper and a bit of garlic, but I liked the idea of mixing that in with the Kentucky side of things and then adding the Nashville on the top, and it's going to give us more layers of flavour in there. And we've still got 1 state left that we're going to add right at the end. So at the moment we've been to Kentucky and Nashville, Tennessee. So what we want to do is we need to now get our Kamado lit, and while that is coming up to a temperature, we want to be getting our deflector plates in the bottom, and then our grill grates in, and then going in with a cast iron pan. So you can use a deep, like casserole style pot, or a shallow dish like this, whichever works for you, whichever you've got. Get that in there with a bottle of oil in there so that we can deep fry this chicken. And we want to get the Kamado up to around 220 degrees C, and that gave me 180 to 190 degrees C in the oil, which is just right for frying. So we need to take the Kamado a bit further on than what our actual cooking temperature of that oil was. So to get that, I had the top vent set to number 3 and the bottom vent was set to 2.5 fingers, and that gave me my 220. So you might just need to go a little bit more, maybe 3 fingers in the bottom as the weather's starting to get a bit colder and damper, but 2.5 fingers work today, and the top vent set to number 3. Get that oil in there and just let it come up to temperature. Don't rush it because you'll overshoot the temperatures and then you'll end up with oil that's too hot to cook. So just let it come up bit by bit, keep going in and checking it, tweaking your vents, getting it right, let it plateau out, and then if you need it a bit hotter, just open the vents just slightly more, just to bring the temperature up. So while that's all coming up to temperature and we're getting happy with that, we need to get our chicken through this dredge. So the first thing we want to do is pick up the chicken thigh, go into the flour, and then go into the wet of the buttermilk and the hot sauce and the egg, and then go back into the flour and really push that flour in as much as you can. Make sure that it gets in all the little crevices, and this is going to give us a bit better, thicker, crunchier coating to this chicken on the outside. So we need to get that done to all 6 of our thighs. As I did say, my last one I did kind of run out of flour, so it's not as floured as it could have been, so I just went back with a little bit more plain flour and just added a little bit on. And I've patched in a few other places with plain flour just on the top as well, just to make sure that everything is well covered. So next thing we need to do is get this into our Kamado. So check that oil with an instant read temperature, as I say 180, 190, and then go in batches with this chicken. Lay it down with tongs, make sure you lay it away from yourself so you don't get any splashes and all of that. I'm sure you've heard it before on plenty of other barbecue channels, YouTube channels, cooking programs. Always lay away from you so that you don't get a splash. I went in with 4 to begin with, left that in there for about 3 minutes. Then I went in and flipped it because we wasn't just quite covering the very top of these. So flipped it over so we're getting a nice colour on the rest, and then I stuck the other 2 in because the chicken had kind of tightened up and there was a bit more room in the oil. Hindsight, I probably shouldn't have done that. I should have let the oil come back up to temperature again, because as soon as you add food to it, the temperature drops. That's why you've got to get it to 180, 190 to begin with. If it's below that to begin with and you drop your food in there, the temperature drops of the oil doesn't cook the batter so well, and you end up with a very, very oily batter. So you've got to make sure it's up to the 180, 190. The last 2 I cooked, they are slightly more oily than the other 2. Another 3 minutes on the other side. I'll take the 4 out original, leave the other ones in just to finish off, and I'll just take these off, put them onto a plate with a piece of tissue paper and just let them rest just for a minute, soak a bit of oil up while we're finishing off these other 2. Once they're done, we need to get this cast iron off of the barbecue. So remember, it's going to be incredibly hot, so make sure you use decent quality barbecue gloves or welding gloves. Take them off and make sure that you put it onto a mat or something. Don't just put it straight onto a worktop or onto the floor where a child can get it. Make sure it's well and truly out of the way to let it cool down. So I've just got that onto a mat on the worktop out of the way. That chicken that we've got on the kitchen roll, just absorbing that fat, we're going to put that back into the Kamado, indirect, over them deflector plates that we put in to begin with, and just get them in. And this is going to help really crisp that skin, and it's going to let the oil come out a little bit more so that it's not as oily, so it's a little bit better for you, but it's still never going to be great for you. But we need to get it back in the barbecue so that we can then add our next flavour. So with that oil, we're going to go into a bowl along with some herbs and spices. So this is 2 teaspoons of cayenne pepper, 1 teaspoon of paprika, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and 1 tablespoon of brown sugar into this bowl. And then we're just going to add in a couple of spoonfuls of that hot oil that we've already cooked the chicken in, because there's plenty of flavour in that oil. All of them flavours from our chicken, from the coating of that chicken, is going to be flavour in that oil. So we're just going to get that into the bowl, and that is traditionally what you would have with Nashville hot chicken. I like to add an untraditional ingredient here. Let that oil cool down a bit first, because otherwise you'll have a bit of an issue. Then I like to go in with about a tablespoon, maybe 2, of juice from a gherkin jar, and it just puts a little zing on this little bit of a glaze, dressing, whatever we want to call it. It just gives it a little lift and something a bit different. So with a pastry brush, we want to open that Kamado, flip our chicken over, make sure that we've not got anything too dark on that bottom side, and then we're just going to baste one side of this chicken with that oily, gherkiny, spicy glaze. Get that on, and just leave that lid shut just for another couple of minutes. The chicken's already been cooked through from 6 minutes in that hot oil. If you do want to be double checking the temperatures, and you're looking for at least 74 in your chicken, but chicken thighs, I like to take them up to about 84 to 86. I checked the temperature on these and most of them were 86 plus. One of them had reached 92, and that is cracking for chicken thighs. It really breaks the chicken down, taking it to that sort of temperature. So now is our time. We are ready to start building, and we still haven't stopped off at that third state, so make sure you stick around. So the chicken, we're just going to take that off. We want to get that into a white bun. These are completely untoasted. Traditionally Nashville hot chicken you just have with white bread, collard greens and some gherkins. So this is what we're sticking with here. So we've got a nice white bun. Get that 2 pieces of chicken to each sandwich in each one. Then we're going to go on with our gherkins. Be generous, especially obviously if you like them. If you don't like them, you're not going to want to put them in. But if you do like gherkins, be really generous, because the acid is going to help cut through the heat of the coating on this chicken. So get that on. Now we're going to our last state. So this is Alabama, and we're going to top this off with Alabama white sauce, which is absolutely fantastic with chicken. So the Alabama white sauce I've got is from the Rusty Barbecue Company, and I'm sure I read somewhere a few years ago that it won a prize somewhere, but went through this morning and I couldn't find that. But if it hasn't won a prize somewhere, it really should, because it is absolutely fantastic. I've had it in the shack for a little while. I've put off using it because it's a white barbecue sauce and it's a bit strange and something new. So I wasn't really sure what to do with it. I've done some research, jumped in at the deep end, and I should have opened it years ago. It's absolutely fantastic. So just get that on the top of the bun, crown it off, and we're done, and it's time to give it a taste. So first of all, I want to apologise if the audio isn't that great, and if I keep looking at the wrong end of the camera. I've got a brand new phone, so this is our first lot of filming using this phone, so just getting used to the way it works, and I haven't got an external mic for it yet, but the built-in mic is supposed to be a lot better. So let's give this a bite. Cheers. That packs a punch. That heat just builds and builds and builds with all that cayenne in there. It's absolutely fantastic. That Alabama white sauce from the Rusty Barbecue Company is like top notch. How that hasn't won an award, if it hasn't, I don't know. It's just absolutely unbelievably good. I'm going to wrap this up really quick because I cannot wait to dig into the rest of this. So if you like what we're doing here at Barbecue Life, then please do subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. Thank you much for watching. Cheers.